History isn't a comic book, and the figures we call monsters rarely saw themselves that way. There are no pure villains and no pure heroes. Instead, there are people capable of unimaginable cruelty who also happen to implement policies that arguably made the world more efficient, safer, or more progressive. Sometimes, the hands that signed death warrants also signed the laws that protect your life today. From the inventor of the modern highway to the pioneers of global communication, we have to look at the strange, uncomfortable, good things done by history's worst people to understand how power truly works. We begin with the most infamous name of the 20th century. While Adolf Hitler was orchestrating the darkest chapter in human history and plunging the world into a global conflict that claimed tens of millions of lives, he was also a fanatical proponent of animal welfare. Under his regime, Germany became the first nation in the world to ban vivisection, the practice of experimenting on live animals. He once claimed that in the new Reich, no more animals would suffer, and his government passed laws requiring the humane slaughter of livestock and protecting wild animals from overhunting. Even today, portions of modern German animal welfare laws are rooted in the 1933 Tierschutzgesetz. Furthermore, he was one of the first leaders to launch a massive, state-funded anti-smoking campaign, recognizing the link between tobacco and lung cancer decades before the rest of the world. He banned smoking on city trains and buses and limited tobacco advertising, all while his military was committing atrocities across Europe. Crossing the Atlantic to the criminal underworld of Chicago, we find Al Capone. He was the man responsible for the Valentine's Day Massacre and the brutal rule of the Chicago Outfit, a criminal empire built on bootlegging and murder. But if you've ever checked the expiration date on your milk carton, you can actually thank the man known as Scarface. During the 1930s, the milk industry was largely unregulated, and many children were dying from milk sickness caused by bacteria. Legend has it that a family member of Capone's, possibly his niece, got sick from spoiled milk. Capone saw an opportunity to act where the government was failing. He used his immense influence to lobby the Chicago City Council for mandatory expiration dates on milk bottles to ensure public safety. Beyond that, during the height of the Great Depression, Capone opened one of the first soup kitchens in America. It served 3 meals a day to over 5,000 people who had been abandoned by the collapsing economy. To the people in line, Capone wasn't a mob boss. He was the only man making sure they didn't starve. In North Africa, Muammar Gaddafi ruled Libya with an iron fist for 42 years, known internationally for state-sponsored terrorism and the brutal suppression of dissent. However, the domestic transformation of Libya under his rule is statistically undeniable. When he took power in a 1969 coup, Libya's literacy rate was a staggering 10%, and it was one of the poorest nations on earth. By the time he was overthrown in 2011, the literacy rate had climbed to over 80%. He made education and healthcare completely free for all citizens, and he provided subsidies for housing that allowed thousands to move out of shanties and into modern homes. Perhaps his most impressive feat was the Great Man-Made River Project. This was the world's largest irrigation system, a massive network of underground pipes that pumped fresh water from the Nubian sandstone aquifer in the south to the thirsty cities in the north. It literally turned parts of the Sahara Desert green and provided fresh water to millions who had previously relied on expensive desalination or dwindling wells. Even going back centuries, we see this pattern with Genghis Khan. His Mongol conquests killed roughly 40 million people, which was about 10% of the entire world's population at the time. He wiped entire cities off the map, yet he left behind a legacy of unprecedented global progress. He created the YAM system, the world's first true international postal and intelligence service. It was a network of relay stations where messengers could swap tired horses for fresh ones, allowing a message to travel from Russia to China in just a few days, a speed of communication that wouldn't be matched until the invention of the telegraph. He also implemented total religious freedom across his empire, protecting Christians, Muslims, Buddhists, and Jews alike. This was happening at a time when Europe was burning people at the stake for practicing the wrong version of Christianity. He even abolished torture as a legal practice and exempted teachers and doctors from taxes, recognizing their value to a stable society. Does a clean highway, a literate population, or a protected animal wash away the blood of a massacre? Of course not. These good deeds don't balance the scales of justice, but they do complicate our understanding of history. It shows that even the most ruthless tyrants often sought to build something lasting, perhaps as a way to justify their crimes to themselves or to ensure their legacy was more than just a list of victims. History isn't black and white, it is a murky, uncomfortable gray. Understanding these anomalies is the only way to see these figures not as monsters from a fairy tale, but as real people who wielded absolute power for both the benefit and the destruction of the world. If you want more deep dives into the darker, more complex side of our past, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell. Until next time, stay curious.